There we are. Welcome everyone to this community stream number 157 for Battle Legion. Can you guys hear me well? Uh, I mostly hope that everything is going to work fine today because, as you know, the stream was supposed to take place yesterday and had to be postponed. So I hope that you guys can all hear me well. If anyone in the chat can confirm, otherwise, I will go on because from what I see, you should be able to hear me well. I see that the sound is supposed to be good. Um, yeah, yesterday's fight night turns out to be today's fight night. What happened to kind of explain to you guys is simply that my iPad that I use to stream the game was low on battery or okay-ish on battery like an hour before the stream. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna charge it up. I always do the stream with the iPad plugged in anyway, so that I don't run out of any form of battery during the stream. But yeah, 1 hour or two before the stream, I plugged it in, hoping that when I would be getting to the stream, basically the device would be up enough that there's no problem, especially being plugged in during the entire time. But when I looked at the iPad, I realized like 15 minutes before the stream that not only it did not charge, but it went down quite drastically. I was at like 5% battery or something, but it was shown as charging. So I didn't really know what was happening. I tried to plug it on different sockets, etc. But no matter what I tried, I kept on seeing the number going low, but the battery logo still showing that it was charging. So I really didn't understand what was going on. Felt like the device was not going to survive the stream, so I decided, okay, let's postpone. And the moment I shared the news with you guys, basically the battery started to charge up again. So at this point, the device is charged 100%. It's been charging the entire day. It's plugged in. I'm not going to plug it off until the stream is fully over, just to be on the safe spot. But that's pretty much what happened yesterday. And I don't really know what caused the device to keep on losing battery, even if it was being in charge, especially because I even turned off the game. Like I really left nothing on to let it charge. And yeah, this still happened. So I don't know. For now, it's a mystery. And I'm planning on having a separate device that I can use in case such an issue would show up again. I know that within minutes I will be able to switch things up and get going. So yeah, we shouldn't be facing this issue anymore. For the time being, we are going to start with today's fight night. As always, we'll start with the easy and normal fight, and then we'll move on to the hardcore fight. I'll start right away because we have quite a few players on the list today. We have 130 players in total, so I hope that we'll be able to still keep the stream within an okay duration. But yeah, we are starting. Let's go ahead with this. And we do have indeed quite a few things to discuss today. We'll be going through a lot of different topics. The first one that I wanted to address with you guys, because that's probably the most important one, is regarding the cheaters that were spotted this season and the last season, quite a fair bit. Uh, well, a tiny bit at the end, very end of last season, and then throughout this season. So, first of all, we know exactly what those guys are doing. We know how they do it. Um, there's no risks for you or your accounts, etc. Because what happened, what happens basically is that they're manipulating the client of the game. So for those that are not really too tech savvy, the client is the game on your device. It's not accessing the servers or whatever. But what happens is that in Battle Legion, the fights happen on your clients. That's because the fights are not really dynamic. They're asynchronous. And what we mean by this is that we just need to load an army, and then knowing all the specifics of the army, the your version of the game can on its own run the fight and share the results. The reason why the fights happen on the client side is because it allows you to be able to run tons of fights at the same time, and even potentially with the same accounts being both attacked and attacking at the same time, which allows to better matchmaking, etc. What happens with those players is basically that they found a way on the client to prevent players from basically having the armies to attack. So that's why you see such low armies being undefeated. And that's simply because they are attacking way stronger army, but the armies won't move. So it's easy in this case to get tons of wins. So we know how they're doing it. We are working on fully patching it. Uh, but a few things to know. First of all, you cannot do that without actually hacking the game, or not hacking in the sense of, they don't access the servers or anything like this, but they're still doing something that is illegal. And that's why every single one of the accounts that have been doing that so far has been banned. And that's why you see less and less of those accounts, because those guys are already getting tired of creating an account, go to the top, get banned, restart. They had fun with that for a few days. The 5 or 10 or 20 players that were doing this, now they're already getting tired. Um, but most importantly, there's nothing else they can do, right? It's not like they can progress into the game faster for any other aspect. They don't have any sense of progression. It's kind of a trolling thing, and we're getting through it. It's not something new. It happened as well in the past. And we also know that it's device specific. They need specific devices in order to do that. So we know all of those things. We are working on fully patching it. In the meantime, what we are doing already is that we have worked on an actual trigger anytime a player is going to be using that strategy. We will be able to spot them way faster and even automate the banning system, which means at this point they won't even have the time to get to the top of the leaderboards, that they will already be banned. And that's what we are focusing on, because we will fully patch the, um, the thing that they're accessing. But as you know, if you've ever looked at Axe for games on the client side, you could always break a game on the client side if you want to. No matter the layers of protections we'll put, the protection will always be that you cannot access the servers, and that when you try to access the servers, cheating or hacking or doing something illegal, that's when you get issues. Oh, I don't know what is causing this, because I checked and there should be no problematic players. Let me see. I just need a second. I'm going to check who was the last legit player we fought. It was Keresul, if I've seen it correctly. Yes, that was Keresul. So let me see who is causing us issues here. Just a second. Uh, okay, I have the accounts in here. Let me get that account out of the way, and we'll be able to keep going. I just want to copy the nickname this way. Okay, let me just relaunch the account and we should be good to go directly. Yeah, I copied the name of the account. This way, basically, I can know what is going on, what is going wrong with this account. And that pretty much means we'll be able to act on it if it ever shows up again. I also want to check because that might be a legit account. Those things can happen. Let me just close those ads and we'll be ready to go there. Everything is ready. Let's roll. Yes, we are back with Bal. Everything is fine there. Uh, okay, so I think, yeah, okay. This is an account that should have never access um, the the fight night. My guess is that this is a player that got the player ID wrong, but unluckily the player ID they put was one of the very, very early beta or even alpha phase of the game, rather. And those accounts, they have data that is corrupted and cannot be even looked into by the game, which is what causes this. To give you an idea, this account was last logged in 2019, early 2019. So that shows there was definitely something wrong in here. Okay. I know I saw that there was a question asked. I'm going to answer to that right away, but I'm just checking who's going to be the last accounts for this um, part of the fight night so that we don't lose too much time when we move from one fight to the other. Cool. Okay, so hi Yosef, you're asking us to explain how trophies are generated. The damage with hackers is that we lose trophy and you don't provide them back, and this way the system is draining. Yes, so the thing with trophies is that you are losing trophies as well when you're being attacked online and when you're offline. Those battles, well, even when you're online, but when you're being attacked, pretty much, if you lose, you're going to lose trophies. The problem is that those players, they will defeat you because they kind of lock your army on to not be able to move, and you are going to lose a fair amount of trophy because they're way weaker than you are, so they shouldn't be winning against you. The main issue with this is that if you are fighting them, you will completely destroy them. There's no doubt about it. Like if you try to friendly fight them, no doubt you're gonna smash them. But the rest of the time, as they are the ones spinning, they have this control, and indeed that makes a lot of great players losing trophies along the way. The good thing is with the system I was referring to, these players will be identified way earlier and we should be able to ban them automatically even prior to them reaching any higher parts of the leaderboard. So it should impact the players way less. And the other part to also consider is that there's already way less of them. Like the first week was crazy. This week we've had 3 accounts that we banned so far, 3 or 4. Yeah, 4 with the one that I banned just few minutes before the stream. So it's already definitely going down, and we know it's a massive problem. We are working on it. You are not going to lose from these guys, but indeed we understand that it's an annoyance. Like anytime there's any form of cheating in such a game, it's an annoyance. It's mostly the problem in this case is that since it happens on the client side, you cannot ever 100% prevent any form of such actions to be performed. The only way to do this would be to make it so that every single fight is sending requests to the server. And if we were to do that, that would basically increase the lag a lot, and it would be really bad for the performance of the game. So it's better to prevent those players from ever having an impact. And we have ways we could patch it. So as said, it will still be patched ultimately, but for the moment, the immediate action is making sure that those guys are not interfering with the players as much as they currently do. And for that, the best way is to identify them as early as after a few fights when they're just out of the tutorial, pretty much. The other way we are thinking that could probably fully prevent this is by putting a limit to the leagues so that you cannot access the leagues in less than a season, which would then give us quite a lot of time to ban any account that would come this way. And it would work because those players, they reach that status super fast, but no player, even with all the best units and even spending quite a fair bit, etc., it's barely impossible to reach the leagues within less than a season. And most importantly, as you guys know, it's not something you would want to do. Like, you want to enter the leagues when you're already ready for that. So that's one thing we might put as another security to make sure that the core of the community is not even being um, um, in contact with those guys at all, right? Okay, I just need to grant the rewards for the easy and medium fights. That's done, and now we'll move to the regular and hardcore. It is live, so let's go with it. I hope we won't have any weird accounts in this one. I checked as well, so I think we should be on the safe spot. But yeah, in case there's anything, we'll act on it as fast as we can. So yeah, that was one of the big things I wanted to cover first, just to let you know we are doing things there. It is getting worked on. It's not yet perfect. We know about that. We are working to make sure this will be fully out of the picture rather quickly and just bad memories. Sadly, it's the lot of things happening at times. And okay, just checking. Guys, can you see me? Because okay, guys, yeah, it seems that you can see me. Okay, we had a very short few seconds cut from OBS, which is the device, the software we use to record um, the fight nights. Hey, Matrama, yeah, you had to refresh. It's not you actually; it's even me. I had to refresh. Yeah, OBS simply dropped the connection for like 1 second. The thing is, OBS is super fast to auto refresh itself and get back on track. The issue is more on the YouTube side that YouTube takes a few seconds to refresh. So yeah, glad to hear that it's working fine now. Cool. Um, okay, so that's kind of the whole story regarding the cheaters and what is being done for this topic at the moment. Now moving on to the next topic I wanted to discuss with you guys, and it's obviously what's coming next for the game. A lot of this will be old news for the players that have been watching the streams for a little while, but I will give a refresher to everyone. The next big thing coming to the game are the changes to the GRB so that it finally gets out of the beta phase. As a reminder, what you can expect to be changing in the global red boss. First of all, there will be now a clan leaderboard. The leaderboard issue, display issue is now fixed. There is a new separate currency for the global red boss, meaning you are not going to use your portal keys anymore, but another similar currency. As far as I understand, you will be getting more of these keys than the portal one, or more often. But it will be the same system. You know, you have a limit of how many you can stack, and the reason for this is to get people to participate as much as they can in the event. Um, so yeah, you will use keys this way. The next change is that there's a brand new box design, as I already teased the last time, that will be coming with these changes. We are also trying to display and give a bit of bragging rights to the clan that is going to be first in the leaderboard. So most likely in the event window itself, the the, the leading clan will be shown, and they can kind of claim the boss as their own. Um, we will change the mechanism for the win and losses, the collective win and collective loss. What I was telling you the other time is that pretty much there would be no difference anymore. Now that we worked the things through, it's actually slightly different than this. What's going to happen is that right now you were shown the winning rewards, and if you were scrolling to the bottom, you could see the losing rewards. And it was super frustrating because you were fighting for the rewards you would see, and potentially you would end up not getting those because the boss was not globally killed, etc. Now what we're doing is that you will be shown the rewards you're getting, and in case collectively we defeat the boss, the currency's rewards only will be multiplied by 2, and there's a tooltip that will explain that. So basically now, if the community defeats the boss, it's a bonus for everyone, and it shouldn't be perceived as a malus anymore. So that's what we aim at here. We are going to extend the leaderboards. The leaderboards will now reward the first 500 players in both categories. The other, the counter side to that, though, is that there won't be a participation prize anymore, because since we're giving a brand new currency that you can use just in here, anyone can enter the event and use pretty much a certain amount of keys for free. So having anyone that use one key to get into the the reward list wouldn't make sense anymore, as it's not a, a resource you decide to allocate to the boss anymore. You know, in the past, because it was a currency you had to decide if you wanted to use in the clan reds or the global red boss, it made sense that even if you were using one key, you should get something back from here. Here, since you're gonna get keys that are just available for that, and you're gonna receive them no matter what, the system is going to be, we reward the the top 500, and in both categories. If we see that we have way more players that are active, or that the 500 is already at quite a certain amount of keys used, we might extend further that list. because we found a way to make it so that the leaderboard is refreshing a lot more easily. So that's the changes overall that are coming with this new global red boss. Once we're done with this, there should be no further changes to the global red boss in terms of how it works. There will be new bosses on the longer run. There can be changes to, the number of arts. There can be changes to the rewards, obviously, but the mechanism for the event should be pretty much set. Anything that would come afterwards would be an add-on. Like right now, we do not know yet if we're going to add achievements as part of the event itself. So let's say, uh, you know, deal X damages to the global red boss, or if it's going to be part of the seasonal challenge, or a bit of both. Most likely, the first ones you would see would be linked to the seasonal challenge. So that would be maybe use X of the global red boss keys. I don't know what the name of the currency is yet. That's one bit that's not been 100% validated yet. But that's one bit that I can see happening quite early. Further achievements would come potentially as part of the event itself. So that would be more of an add-on. And we will do this only if we see that there's a benefit to do that. That's roughly what you can expect to see from the global red boss. We are done with most of the changes. There's one or two things remaining. As I was saying, uh, one of them is about displaying the leading clan in the event itself. That's part of it. There's also still at this point one thing to be worked on with regards to some of the rewards. But then everything else is pretty much ready. So at this point, the aim is still that by the end of September or very early October, the full version is released. After that, the next big thing for the global red boss, for not for the global red boss, but for the game, um, that will be the artifacts rework. So if you remember the last time we were saying that the next things we want to introduce will be the merchant. It's still the case on the development side. That's the next development aspect that will come to the game. But before that, most likely we are going to run the artifact rework because that's been long overdue, and it's a key element of the game. For those that don't remember, what's gonna happen with artifacts, roughly, we'll get into more details once the release get closer. But the idea is we'll add new levels, and the new maximum value of the artifacts will be pretty close to the current one, except for a few that might be a bit too low at the moment. But most of the strong ones will remain at the same strength. But what will happen is that the level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be a lot faster to reach, and the level 5 will probably get you at 90% of the max value. Then the last 5 levels will really get you small progression, and those ones will be a lot harder to get. They will request a different currency again, most likely coming from the participation of different events. And the aim with this is that it's going to be something that takes a super long time to really build up to the max. Players that were currently at the max will not be nerfed much because they would be moved most likely to the new level 5 or maybe even level 6. I don't know yet. which means that they will still already have an advantage over other players, but they will have something to grind for the longer run. Um, and yes, Matt Remar, the new currency would be only for the new level past the the level 5, pretty much. So artifact shards would still be the same. Everything will be the same, but starting at level 6, you will be asked another currency as well. And the main reason is that you guys piled up so much fragments anyway that if we were to do it the other way around, what would happen is that you would basically be instantly to the new max unless we make it insanely crazy. And the problem is, in this case, um, it would never be a possible to catch up for any player that has not been there since day one, pretty much. So to avoid that, there will be you will still need fragments and shards, but you will also need a new currency. This way, we can keep the requirements for shards and fragments low enough, and basically, it's the new currency you will need to progress through those new top levels, which means that for every player, even you guys that have been there for a while, it will take some time to reach this new max. At the same time, you will still have an edge compared to the other players that have not yet reached the level 5. Just to be clear, the new max artifact is not something you're going to reach in 1 month either. The old max, sorry, is not something you're going to reach in 1 month or whatever. It's still going to take a super long time, but compared to the years it could take with the current system, it's going to be faster to reach that 80%, 90% strength of the artifact, and then for the last 10%, you will need a longer grind. And of course, players that have been there forever will be at an advantage compared to newcomers, but the advantage should not be as strong. So ultimately, no one really will lose from that. That will also allow the artifacts to not be as crucial, at least for quite some time, as they currently are. And yeah, that's roughly how it's going to work. And yes, Matrima, indeed, you will have a good reason to dump your artifact shards and fragments on the merchant um, when it shows up. Um, I do not know yet if all the currencies will be regularly taken from the merchant, or let's phrase it in a different way. In the merchant, using your fragments will probably take also a super long time. If you've piled an insane amount of fragments, it will take a super long time for you to see enough fragment related offers that you are interested in to fully get rid of them, for example, for of the ones you wouldn't need. So you will be able to benefit from the merchant a bit more because you have this pile of currencies that newer players want. But it's not like you can, on day one of the merchant, drop 200,000 shards and 1 million fragments and just, get gems for the rest of your life. It's not quite going to be like this. Yeah. Will the exchange be a static rate? No. The ID, I mean, with the merchant, there's still a few things opened because there's the design we want to go with, and there's now the development side that might force us to slightly alter it. But so far, the idea was that there would be different offers showing up. Pretty much, it's a merchant, so there should be, just like in the store, good deals and super good ones that you don't want to miss on, and other ones that will be like, you know, and that's the idea. So getting the deal you want is going to be something that happens from time to time, but it's not like you will spend your day exchanging with the merchant, because most of the time the merchant will come up with some offer that might not be the best for you, or maybe it's something you're interested in, but the ratio is not the one you were looking for. So you will want to come back an hour later to see the new offers, or to speed up the change and see new offers and decide if there's ones for you. But that's something we need to do, because if we spend the time developing the merchants, it has to be something that remains valuable for quite a certain duration, right? If from the get-go you have a static exchange rate, basically you can just exchange, and still until you have only the currency you want, and that means the feature in itself would be pretty useless after a couple of days, or for most players. And also it would make the saturation of other currency a bit too fast as well. So that's the way we're looking at it. But it could work the way you're saying as well, that different weeks lead to different offers. Sorry, that different weeks lead to different offers. That's not fully clear yet. It's not what we would initially want. We would want something more dynamic, but the technical steps we'll encounter in the last steps of the development will definitely have an impact there. Tajik, you're writing to us from Russia. I'm gonna just check the question from Matt, yeah, that I missed on. Why does only the attack speed increase, but not movement and projectile on fast forward? Um, so indeed, that would favor ranged creatures greatly, and that's pretty much the reason why we are not doing this. Because if you think about it, most of the players that play ranged units a lot are usually trying to avoid close combat, right? And if they go into overtime with that advantage on top, you will quickly only see meta with ranged units, because that would mean during the fight they have an advantage because they can keep your opponent far away, especially with the teleporter, well, the displacer and those kind of units. You can keep the opponent quite far from the fight, and kind of force your opponent to go into the the overtime. And if on overtime you also get an advantage, it would quickly become a game where only the ranged units get a benefit. So I think that's where it originally came from. At least that's how we interpret it now, and why it's not been changed. Um, because yeah, it would really quickly turn into ranged unit against ranged unit, and we would be asked to quickly find another way to counter that, etc. Okay, so we have roughly 40 fights and 40 fights done. I'm trying to see. Today we have quite a fair amount of players. We have 109 players in this category, so we still have quite some time to go, as you can see. Um, so yeah, we already discussed about the. Sorry, Matt, you were answering to us. Your problem is that ranged are currently favored. Only attack speed increase on fast forward. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Um, okay, I took your question the other way around. Sorry. Yeah, you mean yeah, only the attack speed is increasing, not movement. Um, yes, that's true, but that's the same kind of mechanism. Basically, it's based on how the units by default add an advantage or disadvantage. If we were to also increase the the movement, then it's gonna be the same. If we help movement, we will have only melee units because ranged units will not be strong enough to stand their ground. Right, so it's kind of a balanced perspective. I do agree though that depending on the era and the season we're in, especially this season with the specific power boost for ranged unit, it does favor ranged units a lot this season. It's not going to be the case next season and the season after that. But yeah, movement speed, it could be increased, but then it would have to not be increased as much as the attack speed. That's um, how I would perceive it. Also, I think for movement from the technical standpoint, what makes it a bit harder is that the power stones linked to movement are quite harder for the battle model to deal with. And if you were increasing the speed of those, uh, that could be quite tricky. Like for example, if you take something like the slowdown, technically the system would multiply by 2 a value that is to actually slow down. So that would mean the slowdown unit would be even more slowed down during the fast forward. See, so that could be very tricky to deal because of the nature of the movement power stones as well. But that's just speculation on my end. That's just one thing I could see being bringing a lot of edge cases, basically. So yeah, the next point I was bringing up, I already forgot what that was. Yeah, we already discussed about the merchants in the things that will come after the artifact rework. Outside of that, one of the things we already started to discuss the other time, and that is becoming more and more prominent, will be to have pretty much a statistic spot in the game. Um, Pretty much that's something we're working on uh, because we see that this is a standard in most games, and that this game is really lacking in showing you what you're doing good, what you're doing best, and mostly the reasoning here is that technically you're in the spot of a battle commander. So you should have this feeling of having access to stats, and that's what we want to provide. It's part of a bigger change because we want to rework the tutorial of the game and the early game for players, and so we want to have them feel more like they're this battle commander to some extent, and showing them those stats quite early on is one thing we want um, to be working on a bit better, but also because that opens perspectives on the longer run. Like if you have this battle commander um, kind of hub, that means it's something we could allow you to share with other players. And that means we can introduce a new type of cosmetics because you could have tons of different designs of commanders that are going to be from very basic to super fancy because you won an insane amount of events over the time, etc., or because you have reached this or that achievement or this or that title. And also, it would allow us to potentially introduce more more buffing effects. So you know the power boost that we're looking into, that we've been introducing for the season, it's something we want to potentially extend on. It's not definitive yet, but the idea is on the long run, there will be more seasonal challenges being added because there will be um, new game modes or modes that are uh, being added to the seasonal challenges like the GRB. And because of that, what might happen is that the power boost will not be as strong as it currently is, but will be split into different steps. So you might, I don't know, like right now you have the 200% range power boost, if I remember correctly. Maybe we will split it into a 30% boost that you can very easily trigger with just a few seasonal challenge, 80% or 70% power boost that is going to be a bit harder to reach, a bit easier than the current one, but slightly harder than the easy one. And then you could have a final power boost of 100 something percent, bringing the total to 200. But the last one is super hard to get. Basically, that would make it more of a progression that you're getting along the way. In general, though, Matt, I see your comment there. We will make some of those power boosts less strong, that's for sure. I know that especially the range one was mentioned to be quite strong, so this one will be reduced a bit. At the moment, the plan is to just rotate with the three ones that we released so far. So that's the HP, the melee, the HP, the melee, and the range one. But on the longer run, we can add more, and we can have those different steps, as I was saying, and we can even potentially spice things up by having different ones in the different steps. So if let's say there are three steps in one season, maybe that will be 30% range, 70% HP, and 100% melee or whatever. And this way, it's different stats um, that you're actually boosting, and that gives us a lot more combinations we can try every season to keep things a bit more, a bit funkier than the current roadster, pretty much. So that's one thing we're looking at um, on the slightly longer run. And as said, that's also something we could further expand on with this commander aspect that we're working on. If we go that road, this commander with statistic kind of hub could also be something where you have other passive buffs that could be activated. And, from there, you can imagine quite a different type of strategies there. One thing I realized I forgot to mention that will be coming already with the GRB release and GRB changes are new elixirs. There will be basically XL elixirs, which will be stronger than the current ones. They're not going to be incredibly stronger than the current ones, but they will be stronger. And the point is pretty much always the same for us. The idea is to have something new to give as a reward, and at the same time to also monetize it if some people want to buy it, and give something that makes the events, so both the GRB and the Clan Red Boss, a bit more exciting, thanks to having new elixirs in there. So that's one thing we've had in the pipeline for a while, but it makes sense to have this release with the new GRB as well. So yeah, this patch note, when we do the new GRB version, will be quite long. There's quite a lot of new things coming in. Uh, okay, I don't know if you guys have any questions on what we are discussing so far. I'm not sure I've seen any, so I would feel like it's not the case. But okay, so anything more being done about the wall? Yes, we are moving forward with the changes for the inactive accounts that should be active from the next season onward. So not the one starting on Monday, but the following one, as far as I'm aware. And the idea is to do it in different steps. Pretty much we'll go from the current value, which was 1 year of inactivity before you were out of the matchmaking, to 9 months. Then after one season, we'll go to 6 months, etc. The idea by going into small steps is to make sure that we don't run into matchmaking issues if we were to directly go to 2 months, for example, and we realize that in the gold, in the bronze league, the matchmaking suffers way too much from it. There's not enough players to fight. The problem is we would have no way to revert that, right? So we will be doing this into several increments, checking the data, checking we're fine with the matchmaking, and go a bit further, etc. Most likely, we'll set it at 3 months. That's the ideal that we want to get, and that means within 2, 3 seasons, you should be at 3 months, which will have a big impact for the wall. The second thing for the wall is that we are also going to be patching at one point or the other the passive the um, the passive manual drop. So as you know, that's not intended. That's not something that should happen. The fact that once you reach the limit that you can reach by manually dropping, you shouldn't be able to drop lower by being attacked. So this passive manual drop, that will also be patched. I'm not sure if it's going to be patched with this season or with the next one, most likely the next one, because we had to focus on the cheaters first right now. Obviously, that's way more important, but it's going to be patched, and that will also have a quite strong impact on the wall. And for the wall, the biggest change ultimately is going to be the artifact rework, because the old players, they won't have, like the old inactive players, they won't really have an edge for as long as they currently do anymore. So that's the one of the big things we're going to do to help as well on that side of things. With those different measures, the wall should be getting smaller and smaller. It's not going to be destroyed overnight. It's not going to be something where there's no wall all of a sudden, but it should feel way less violent than it currently is. That's for sure. And yeah, over time, that should get better indeed. Hi, Haita. Okay, so that's 65 fights already so far. It's going quite quickly, actually. I didn't expect it. We were playing, yeah, what were we on FedEx? Yeah, that's it, 65. Okay. If you are graduating the seasonal buff to make some of the buff available with less expense, that should help. Yeah, that's what I was referring to earlier. This part at this point, it's really hard to tell when and how it's gonna be because this is a brand new system. We don't want to mess too much with it right now. Like we have other things to focus on that are taking the priority over that for now. For now, this system is working as it is. We are going to change the value of it based on the feedback we received, but the system itself for now will stay as it is, and it's most likely to happen as we get more stuff added to the seasonal challenges. That we will then get this option of pretty much splitting it into different parts indeed. Is there any more thoughts about adding a decay with an activity that goes away the moment you resume playing? At the moment, not really, because that's quite heavy development. And if basically you have a 3 months inactivity period before you're out of the matchmaking, pretty much the decay mechanism will be a super heavy development part for something that would not really have much of an impact anymore. So at the moment, no. If we see that after all the stuffs we talked about, it's still way too tough for the new players coming in, maybe we can look into it. But I don't feel like it's going to be the case at this point. Yeah. Once we get to 3 months, the decay function would be obsolete. Yeah, the thing is, the 3 months part, it should come rather quickly because the first value we'll start with should be 9 months. From there, we'll go to 6. And if 6 is fine, probably the next one would be 3. So that will be a matter of a few seasons to be at 3 months while developing this in parallel with all the stuffs we are currently developing. It would probably take longer than that anyway. I'm sorry, I'm drinking a bit more than usual. I was a bit sick over the weekend, and I know you probably don't hear it because with my voice it always sounds like I'm sick, but I have a bit more troubles to keep my voice afloat over the long periods of time. Hey, Matrima, so you were asking, is there a way to do the same with clans? There are some clans where the members have been inactive for 2+ years. So for clans, most likely that will be something we'll look at when we get to the different phases of a clan war release. Um, the idea with working on clan wars is that we'll have most likely before the clan wars release, we'll have at least one release where we'll bring a few quality of life improvement for clans, including maybe something like an inactivity for clans. But the main issue with clans is that technically we should keep the clan alive so that players, if they return, they should still have the clan they created. For example, if they were still the leader by the end, they should still have the clan in there. But what would probably happen is that we will find a way to not show those clans, not suggest those inactive clans to newcomers and to players searching for clans and in clan leaderboards, etc. The main reason, anyway, being that it's not good publicity for the game and it doesn't make the game look good. So that's definitely something we will look into. But I would feel it's more likely to come when we have a quality of life update indeed for the clans more directly. Just out of curiosity, what is it that um, you would like us to work with in terms of the clan's inactivity? What's the reasoning for you behind it? What's the part that gets you annoyed with this? It's the fact that players get suggested clans that are inactive, or it's simply the fact that those clans exist? Because they will probably not be shown anymore, but they will still exist as long as there are players in them and as long as the leader account is still existing. So unless they call us and say, hey, I want to delete my account, the clan will most likely still exist, just not visible. Also, just mentioning because today the number of players that are kicking my ass is quite high. I know, guys, that I didn't change my power stones, and that's this is one of the reasons why the army is not as strong as as it should be. Don't worry, it's not gonna happen the next time. But yeah, it's been a bit of a rush to focus on other things in the past few days. So yeah, that's definitely noted. Don't worry. Yay! I'm at least winning that fight. That's cool. Great. So yeah, outside of that, as we were saying, yeah, the clan wars, it's going to be the main topic for 2025 for us. The global red boss took us way more time than expected, not for the initial version, but for the changes that we wanted to do. The back end of the game was not as welcoming as we hoped for this feature. So hopefully, with everything we've learned from the global red boss, but also from the fact that a new clan war system is going to be a brand new feature on its own, so that does not rely as much on existing mechanism. It should be a tiny bit less tricky to get done. And as said, we will mostly make sure to go about that in phases. So that should be a bit easier to deal with. But that will be the main big focus, sorry, for 2025 for sure. Okay, so at the moment we have about 29 players to go, I think. Where is not? Not is here. Yeah, we have yeah, 25, 26 players to go at this point. Okay. I'm actually surprised. I mean, of course, because my power stones are not updated, that kind of justifies why I'm not the fights are not that long. But yeah, I was wondering how long it would take today because there were more registrations than usual, and thank you guys for that. But I'm glad to see that it's gonna be a regular duration for the stream, which is always better for you guys. It's just overall better to listen to as well than to hear my voice for 2.5 hours like it happened once or twice in the past. I'm also glad to see that the device didn't die on me after yesterday's trouble. That's definitely a plus. Okay, and I'm basically back to back victories right now. What is going on? I think we have more newer players that applied to these clan wars. That's cool. if you are newer players or newer to the clan, to the fight nights, that's super cool that you joined. I realized that I said clan wars just before instead of fight night. We were talking about clan wars too much, I guess. Yeah, so we are slowly moving to the final part of the stream. If you guys have any suggestion, any idea, any question, feel free to share those with us. In the meantime, I wanted to thank you guys for the units contest, the unit design contest that we've run on Discord. The final results will be posted tomorrow. The team was still looking into some of the concepts. It's quite interesting. So we were quite happy to see that. I'm also happy to say that we are very likely to get a skin directly inspired from the skin design contest that we ran a few months back. I need to reach out to the player that created it and make sure that they're all fine with it, etc., and check the name that they want to give to that skin. But it seems very likely at this point that we're gonna get it in about 2 3 months, something like this. So yeah, quite excited to see at least under my alien under the under Godspeed game the first skin based on a community design. It's quite cool. Uh, would I be willing to summarize what I was discussing in the last 15 minutes? Well, not so much. I brought up the fact that we were going to work on Clan Wars as the main focus for 2025. Um, I was answering to your question about the clans by saying that for inactive clans, we will likely do something when we are doing a first round of quality of life improvement for clans, which will be part of the Clan Wars um, release overall. The Clan Wars release, it's gonna most likely be first quality of life improvement for clans, then new features for clans, then the actual fight of the clan wars, and then additional elements to the clan wars, something like this. It's not going to be something that we release in one go because that would be just way too much and too risky. So most likely changes like the one you were mentioning, getting um, clans quality of life improvement will be the first thing that come, and that's when we might do something for inactive clans. But for inactive clans, as I was also referring to the fact that we will most likely not erase them, they will simply not be visible anymore, not be advertised to players, and not be in the leaderboard if the clan is full of inactive players, etc. But we won't completely delete them because from the technical and even legal standpoint, we want to make sure that if a player returns and they were the one that were the leader of this clan, they can still get their clan back, especially if we start having um, bonuses for clans, which is one thing that will probably come ahead of clan wars, but be part of the clan wars would be, having a something you actually build like passive boosts that the entire clan benefits from. And that will probably be something that would need players to be able to get back if they come back after 6 months or whatever. You say you have lots of suggestions for quality of life improvements for clans. Yeah, I mean, you can let us know. That's not going to be our focus until early next year, most likely. But there will be a point where we will be looking at that with everyone and try to tackle this. I was also during those time you were out, those 15 minutes. I was also mentioning that we were super pleased with the unit design contest and that we were likely to get a skin taken from the skin design contest, and that you should have some news about that very soon. Um, and I wanted to say something else, but I already forgot. So that's okay. It will come back. Oh yeah, sorry. That I remember now. The bug list. As you know, we created a bug list thread on Discord to make sure that we don't miss on outstanding bugs as much as we did in the past. And some of this initial list is already ready to be released. So with the coming seasons, you should be able to see some of those requested changes start to be rolled out, and you can keep adding to that list if you see any further issue that needs to be resolved. Just let us know because those will be addressed in the coming seasons as much as we can. Of course, some of the real bugs might be a lot harder to fix, etc. But a lot of these were more um, dysfunctionality in the way the units worked or those kind of things, and we're trying to get those to be patched. And I know that some of them are already on their way. So yeah, do not hesitate to keep sharing that with us. Okay, so at this point we have not even, yeah, pretty much 10 players left. So if you have questions, suggestions, or anything like this, you still have probably 5 to 10 minutes to go. After that, it will have to wait for 2 weeks. And yes, for those that would join us now or that would just rewatch part of the stream, we will be back on Wednesdays. Today was a bit of an exception. I don't plan to move the stream to Thursdays. It was exceptional. Sorry again for that move. Okay. Mhm. So yeah, as I was talking about the unit design contest, the team was quite happy about the outcome and the creativity they saw there. It's quite cool to see that you guys still have quite some ideas for new units. Just to mention on that end, we are getting a bit in the scenario that I was mentioning a few times in the past. It is very likely that in the coming eras, there are some eras where you will see less units, and on the longer run, we'll be really revealing a plan for where we go from there because we are not going to keep adding units forever. There's a point where it doesn't make much sense, so we'll be paying attention to that, and you will get some more details about this quite soon. But I think already that the next era is going to have only one unit in the entire era, from what I recall. So yeah, that's gonna be happening from time to time as we get to a point where we have way too many units anyway. Okay, I think okay, we have 4 fights to go. I'm still not sure how I feel about the mind shrooms armies. That's never been my thing. I don't know why, but it's never been my thing. So hmm. Any final words, guys? Because we have, I would say, probably 3 minutes to go, 2 minutes to go. Hmm. Again, I'm sorry if you can hear that I'm a bit sick. I know that with my voice, it's hard to notice, but yeah, it's still something I carried over from the weekend. It's getting better, but yeah, right now, after an hour and a half of me talking, oh, well, a bit less than an hour and a half, but a long time of me talking, I'm starting to feel that my voice is exhausted a little. So yeah, sorry if that is something you can hear directly in the stream. We're getting to the end of it at this point, so I hope that this was not too annoying. I don't think so, because I mean my voice is annoying by default, guys. I know that. Don't worry. Okay, I'm just gonna refresh the stream. There we go. Over time, I don't know why, but there's always a bit more of a delay with the YouTube screen than with the stream screen. Whoa, that's tough to say. And so when we start the stream, there's like a 1, 2 seconds delay, but by the time we get to the end of the stream, there's like 3, 4, 5 seconds delay, and it gets super weird to see yourself move or speak with 4, 5 seconds delay. And at the same time, I still prefer to be in the YouTube view, because this way, if anything goes wrong with the live on your end as a viewer, I experience it as well. But also, the chat is usually um, updated faster. So, yeah, that's the way it is. I think we're getting to the final fights for today. Oh, we actually just passed it. Sorry, my bad. That's perfectly fine. That means I will be able now to close this event and grant all of you guys your rewards. There we go. Okay, folks. I just have now to thank you all for bearing with us today. Thank you again for participating. Thank you for sticking with us despite the technical issues that we had yesterday. I'm glad to see that everything worked fine. We can all say congratulations to that little guy that managed to survive. Um, I don't think he thought he would. So, yeah, we can congratulate him. And yeah, thank you, Matt Remar. Um, and yeah, okay. Sorry again, everyone, for missing out yesterday. We'll be back in 2 weeks on Wednesday. Have a wonderful evening and talk to you soon. Bye.